Well, welcome to Sunday Night Thoughts for August 2nd, 2020. It is the first Sunday night in August of 2020, and 2020 is going down in the record books as a real, a real kind of interesting year. Not too excited with 2020 as it pertains as we are beginning uh, another month. So I'm standing here with my trusty steed, my Ibanez Roadstar 2 base that I have had for a long time. It's actually not too bad looking, considering I've had it since late mid 83. I bought this 83, 84, somewhere in there. And it is well used. So 83, we're talking 38 years, 37 years of playing this thing. That's hard to believe, just actually. Uh, but this thing has, I paid $300 for it at Dave Phillips in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, way back in 1983. And it's, considering it is a little worn, as you can see, it's gotten dropped a few times. Back's a little scratched and bottom, but hey, for 37 years, it's done me well. I had to, you can see one of these tuners is not like the other, that one. So I have, I had two guitars that had mismatched tuners. I now only have one. I fixed that on my acoustic. But I was just, one of the things I've been doing is I've been playing around. One of the things I never did much is played around with different tunings. But what I've done, at least lately on my bass, just kind of play around to get some deeper tones, is I've dropped all the strings. I remember being back in Continental Tour that I experimented with a drop D tuning for a while, and it's not my way my brain worked. I just couldn't wrap that string was completely different than the rest of the strings. So just recently I've been listening to some Continental music. I'm like, well, what if I drop all four strings so that it still plays just the way it always did? And so what I found is these strings really kind of rattle. The action's high enough, but it's got a nice growl. I think I have it right now. I have it down a half step, so it means I can get the low E flats. I've had it set down as low as the D. It's a little interesting, but I thought, 37 years. Trusty steed for 37 years, my Ibanez Roadstar 2 bass. That's kind of how we got to start tonight. But speaking of faithful steeds, my Ibanez is a faithful steed. It's been around a long time. But also, this week we said goodbye, kind of a sad goodbye, to our 11-year-old Kia Sedona van, our 2009 Kia Sedona. And we have upgraded to a brand new Kia Sorento. The family is getting the people we need to transport are less now. A minivan made perfect sense when we had 3 kids. Now doesn't make so much sense. And we wanted the Sorento. We wanted to still have a big vehicle so that when I needed to carry some of my sound equipment around, I could do that, and that allows me to do that. And so we've got a new car. It's first time since we first moved to Stanton, so 11 years ago that was, and it's good. So this week's been I finished up a steed of my my bus driving for the summer. We had a 3-week summer school session. Finished that up on Thursday, and it was kind of nice because when we finished up back in May on March 13th, I'll never forget it, Friday, March 13th, I never got to say goodbye to the kids, and so it was really nice as we finished up this time that I was able to say goodbye and have a nice summer to the kids. And so looking forward to driving come this fall. At this point, looks like we may be doing that. Right now, our school district is planning on going back um, in a standard model. Um, McKean County, as far as coronavirus has 28 cases. That's all totaled since the beginning of March, so a pretty low number of cases. Um, Interestingly enough, McKean County is probably one of the lowest per capita in the state, and Pennsylvania keeps getting better and better when we look at per capita cases throughout the country, and so it's kind of interesting. We had a good week otherwise, doing some doctor visits and kind of stuff, and we had a good week. Talked to the kids a couple times via FaceTime. That's always fun. Really looking forward to being able to, at some point, being able to get to see them. We'll see how long that is. But took a brief break from Facebook this week, a couple days. Just needed to get away for a little bit. And when I came back, I dropped about 50 friends, people who I just didn't interact with on a regular basis. And I want to get my friend list under 500. So we'll see. At one point, I was up close to 800. Seems like every time I get up to 800, I'm like, okay, it's time to drop it down, and I get it under 5, and then it slowly starts building up again. But it gets harder to drop it off because there's always people in a previous pastorate that I don't want to drop off because I love staying in touch with them. And plus, I've got some Continental friends and that kind of stuff. So, last week was hot. Got some good running in. Last week was finished up with July with 110 miles. Lowest of the summer so far. May, June were really good. Did 130, 120, 110. I don't want to continue the trend. I want to go back to 120. Got 6 miles in on Saturday, so we got a good start. Looks good for this week to get rolling on that again. It's been kind of hot during the day. Yesterday was kind of nice. I was able to get the grass cut, at least part of it. Then we look forward to worship. We had a good prayer meeting on our Wesleyan pastors Zoom call. That was a good prayer meeting this morning. And then we had a good time of worship preached from James chapter 3 about 2 types of wisdom, the wisdom that comes from above and the wisdom that comes from our earthly wisdom. And I never realized that James was such a book of holiness as I have this time. And, we often hear, Martin Luther said that James was a book of straw, a right strawly epistle, which means it would just need to be burned up. But it really has some stuff to talk about the importance of hearing God's wisdom from above versus our own worldly wisdom and what it looks like, what worldly wisdom versus godly wisdom looks like. Pure, peace-loving, gentle at all times, full of humility. It was good, and we had a good service this morning. So this week's a kind of an open week, and we'll see how that goes. We'd like to do James and I would like to do some hiking here before too long, and I want to get down and see my mom and dad, and so we got a couple things planned for August, so stay tuned. It's been a wild ride so far in 2020, and but one of the things I have enjoyed this week is grabbing my guitars and playing them a lot. So it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, have a great week. Good night. God bless.